This is the simplest and easiest witch farm on Minecraft Bedrock Edition. You can build it in just a few minutes and you get all of these great drops like tons of gunpowder, redstone, and a bunch of other potion ingredients, including actual potions themselves. This farm is so simple and cheap you can build it with just these materials right here. I'll be showing you an easy way to find witch huts in your Minecraft world, and once you find one, it's just a simple matter of building up a tiny amount of redstone and placing a couple of blocks, and then bam, your witch farm is completely done. So as you can see, we have witches spawning inside of the farm. If we turn on this lever right here, they're going to get killed really quickly, and all their drops will be picked up through the floor by that hopper minecart. And then down here we have a temporary storage system. As you can see, we're getting a ton of different stuff, including a lot of potions like healing potions, water breathing, and even swiftness. This farm is so tiny and simple, but it still gives you about 1,500 items per hour, so if you're building up yourself some potion brewers, or if you just want more redstone and gunpowder in your world, then this is definitely a good farm. Another bonus with this farm is that you don't need to do any spawn proofing. I put around just a couple of torches, and then if we go up into the air, this is going to be our AFK spot, so you can stand up here for as long as you want. We have a roof to prevent phantoms from spawning, so you can AFK here for as long as you like, and just get tons and tons of drops from your witch farm down below. It's pretty rare, but you can get other types of mobs to spawn inside of there, like zombies or creepers, because this is just like a regular spot in the world. Other mobs can spawn in there. So if you notice some extra drops in your storage system, that's to be expected. You also get frogs to spawn on top of your build, but I mean, who doesn't like frogs? This is just a nice bonus. I consider this an absolute win. And don't kill the frogs. Ow, no, because the farm will get angry. And one more feature of this farm is that we actually have a sculk catalyst in there to destroy the experience. That way it doesn't back up or cause you any lag or prevent the witches from getting hit by the trident killer. And that is fine because you're not going to be getting experience from this build either way. And if you want an XP farm, you should just go build a guardian farm. What are you waiting for? And really, the only other thing to say about this is that this farm is so dead simple that it's probably going to be reliable and last you a couple of years at least, unless they break something major or change a fundamental mechanic of Bedrock Edition. So you can be pretty happy with this build and not have to worry about it changing probably anytime soon. And with that, if you enjoyed these types of Bedrock Edition tutorials, then subscribe, but otherwise, let's hop into it. This farm is so simple and cheap to build that this is the exact materials list right here. As you can see, you need less than a stack of blocks, and all these other things are pretty self-explanatory. You will be needing some torches for the surrounding areas, and if you want to be able to look into the farm, then you'll need a couple pieces of tinted glass. You might also need some glass panes to find the spawning spot, and a locator map or a sunflower to find direction. You'll also be needing a trident, ideally with impaling 5, and any sword with the looting 3 enchantment. That way you get the best rates from the farm. Depending on your luck, you might also need some filler blocks to fill in the water around your witch hut. If you haven't found a witch hut in your world yet, then go to the website chunkbase.com and head over to the apps section. You need to put in your world seed and select the correct version of Minecraft, and then you can select the witch hut icon right here. As you can see on the map, this is going to tell you where all the witch huts in your world are. It can also tell you where the ancient cities and the deep dark biome is in case you need help finding yourself a sculk catalyst. Once you found yourself a witch hut, we need to find out where the spawn spot is. Now these things are basically all the same, so the spawn spot should always be 2 blocks ahead of where that crafting table is, so it should always be right here. Now if you need help finding the spawn spot, what you can do is you can put a block up and then put in a bunch of glass panes in this room, and then witches will actually spawn in between these glass panes, and that'll help you find out where the spawn spot is in case someone has been here before or they tore it down or something. Now it can be kind of difficult to get them to spawn in there, and that is because the mechanics are a bit weird. So if your witch hut is surrounded by water, then you're going to get pretty bad rates. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually build up the land around this so that it is kind of like what I showed earlier in the video. As you can see, I just built up a little bit of land around it. It doesn't need to be anything too special, but don't slab this area because that can also affect the rates of your witch farm. Instead, just go ahead and put down some torches in the area. So now we're going to actually install the AFK spot. That way we can confirm that our spawning spot is correct. So you need to find out the Y layer of this floor of your witch hut. So for me, that's Y layer 65. We're going to be going 42 blocks above this block right here. So for me, 65 and 42 equals 107. And that is where my AFK platform is going to be. And this block right here is directly above the spawn spawning spot of our witch hut. So you can do anything that you want with this AFK spot, but you'll probably need yourself a way up there, like a ladder or something. And if you're playing on Sim 6 or above, then you might need to actually raise up your AFK spot. That way nothing spawns in the caves below you. I removed some of the blocks from the roof of my witch hut, and because it is currently nighttime out, we actually got some witches to spawn in there. So if you pull out yourself a locator map, your little icon right there is the white dot, and the top of the map is going to be north. So the upper left corner of the map is northwest. Now, witches and other structure spawns always spawn on the northwest corner of the spawning spot, and that is why they spawn in between these glass panes. So this right here is the northwest corner of the spawning spot, and bam, we've now confirmed that this is exactly where the witches are spawning. And now we're going to build up the actual inside of the farm. So the structure of the witch hut itself is not important. You can tear down the entire structure if you want, but I'd keep it there because, you know, why not, right? Now, for this build, I'm going to be facing north. It is a directional build. You have to be facing north. So once you've found your spawning spot, we're going to place in a piece of scaffolding on top of that, and then a couple of glass blocks to the north and west of it, some solid blocks on these sides. I'm also going to go ahead and fill in that block. Now we need some glass blocks right there, and then fill in solid blocks in all of these areas, and 2 more right there like so. We also need to fill in this wall just to block out the light. And now we're going to place in a water source right here in this corner. That way it's flushing towards that corner like so. Now break out this block and place in a piston right there, and then 3 glass blocks in these locations like so. And now go ahead and place in 2 solid blocks right here. And that's actually the farm done. Because I'm keeping the structure though, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of these areas just so there's no air gaps. And now we're actually going to go ahead and fill in the roof blocks again just to block out all the light. So make sure this window is filled in. This back window doesn't matter, and this window doesn't matter either. However, on this front side, you will need to replace this fence with a solid block to block out all the light. And we also need a solid block right there, right here, and down here as well for this little shape. Once you have this little shape installed, just go ahead and grab yourself in a redstone torch right there, and then a repeater like so, 1 redstone torch, and that is going to clock, and it's going to be activating your piston. To turn it off, you can place in a lever right here. I would recommend also breaking out these blocks on the side and replacing them with a tinted glass, so that way you can see in there. Make sure you're using tinted glass because this blocks out the light and allows your mobs to spawn in there. You can't use any other type of glass. For item collection, we need to head down underneath the farm, directly underneath the marker block that you installed for your spawning spot. We're going to place in ourselves a temporary double chest right there, hopper going into the side of that, and then a sideways rail on top of that hopper like so. Place some blocks to either side, and then just a hopper minecart right here. That's going to pick up all the items from your farm, and of course you can expand this storage system if you want, but this is the most basic system that you need, and that's going to get filled up about every hour. Just a couple last minute things to do. If you want to be able to see the mobs inside of your farm from the AFK spot above, make sure that you have a solid block directly above the spawning spot. That way you don't get pillager patrols in here. And then you can place in yourself a couple pieces of tinted glass, and then you'll kind of be able to see the witches in there dying a little bit. If you really want to see them, then you can put a tinted glass right there, but you will get pillager patrols and bad omen from this. To throw in our trident, we need to break out this block and then throw in any trident that you like, but ideally it needs to have impaling 5 on it. That way it kills the witches fastest and you get the best rates from the farm. And of course, make sure to fill that in with tinted glass or a solid block. We're going to go to this side of the witch hut and just place in ourselves a sculk catalyst right here and then fill in that block. It's not actually going to spread any sculk anywhere because there's nowhere for it to spread, so it's just going to destroy the experience and prevent it from pushing around the witches on the inside of the build. Another thing I've heard is that having these stairs on the edges of the witch hut actually reduces your rates due to how the chunk spawning works with structures, and I don't have a good way to confirm if that's true or not, but you know what? Remove the stairs, make it look stupid. And now to tell if your farm is working or not, just go ahead and turn on the lever, and then we're going to go up to our AFK spot. It might take a second, but you should be able to see witches spawning anytime. Witch huts aren't the fastest thing in the world, but you should see witches spawning within about a minute if you've done everything correctly. And if you don't see them spawning, then you may need to lower down your AFK spot. But there you go, we got a couple witches and even some nice froggos too. Of course, you need to be holding a looting 3 sword while you're AFKing. That way it applies the looting effect to all the witches that are in your farm. That's going to give you 2.5 times better rates from your build. And while you're up here, you should also install a solid block roof somewhere above your AFK spot and put some slabs on top of this. If you have solid blocks above you, then no phantoms can spawn. So it's only been a few seconds, but as you can see, we already got some loot in our output chest here. Now keep in mind, you need to turn off your trident killer before leaving the area, otherwise that trident might fall down. And there's also a bug with tridents where they can just fall down or even end up like 30 blocks below your farm. So if you have issues with that, or if you want to avoid those issues, then you should always pick up that trident before leaving the area. If you enjoyed this Bedrock tutorial, then subscribe so you don't miss future tutorials. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys down in the comments and in the next one.